talk about money, shall we? One of the biggest banking companies in the world has announced plans to invest more than $10 billion in economic opportunities for Black women. Now, the goal is to level the playing field after years of gender and racial inequality. I mean, the record's been horrific. Goldman Sachs calls the plan 1 million Black women. And here to tell us all about it is the president of the Goldman Sachs Foundation and global head of corporate engagement, Asahi Pompey, joins us right now. And thanks so much for joining us on Start Your Day. It's such an important initiative, but we want to make sure we have the details just right. Let's start with some of the history here, right? Goldman Sachs, Black women's earnings compared to other groups. You've looked at the numbers, they're startling.
Sharon, Mike, first of all, it's wonderful to see you and to be here. You're right, the numbers are startling. There's, in fact, a 90% wealth gap between what a Black woman has in this country and a white man. And you and I know that Malcolm X said, you know, the most neglected person in America is the Black woman. And he said that 50 years ago, and our data shows that's still true today. You know, we've got the worst maternal health outcomes. We're the most rent burdened of any person in the population. Our Black women business owners have a hard time getting capital. Our Black women students have a hard time financing their education. So as you think about it across the board, there is a critical need to help Black women. And so you're right, this is the largest investment ever in this country, specifically focused on impacting the lives of at least 1 million Black women by the year 2030.
I love it. Thank you for doing this. And that's crazy, that number, 90% less than that of white men. So tell us, how does this work? Because one of the biggest challenges is obviously access to this kind of capital. So how would a 1 million Black women program address that?
You know, the way that the program works specifically is we know that there's no silver bullet in closing the racial wealth gap. And there are any number of things that have to be different. So we decided to really go across the arc of a Black woman's life, starting with, you know, did her mother get appropriate maternal care? Was she able to, as a little girl, get preschool education, which allowed her to be able to read, you know, by the age of 6 or 7? Was she able to get a job where she's paid the same amount as her white peers and be able to develop a thriving career? So these investments are across these pillars of healthcare, across education, across broadband. Did you know that, you know, Black women are 1/3 more likely to not have access to broadband? It's across housing. We're 10% more likely to live in unsafe housing. So it's investments as it relates to technology, broadband, healthcare, building hospitals, daycare. So those pillars across a Black woman's life.
So I think this is groundbreaking, right? What Goldman Sachs is doing here. But when we think about why, we can't ignore history. So I was reading an article, and I always jump, I should tell you, to the comment sections, and it talked about Goldman Sachs and their initiative, that at least one woman on the board. That was before you go public. And the comments started talking about, you know, reverse racism. The real affirmative action is something else, as we often talk about on this show. Goldman Sachs has been around since 1885, 136 years. And just looking at the numbers, the records in banking, but particularly with this bank, horrific. Horrific. For Black and brown people, horrific. You're our guest. And so, you know, we want to celebrate this program, but we have to talk about history and really more than 130 years of affirmative action for white people at the bank. Is $10 billion enough to level the playing field here?
You know, I think across finance, you know, I don't disagree with you in terms of the track record and the history as it relates to Black people and Black women in this country. That being said, if you look at the impact, Sharon, of that $10 billion, we estimate that closing the racial wealth gap could create as much as 1.7 million jobs in this country. right? By creating GDP of $450 billion. So the impact of this is not just the $10 billion, which is huge and the largest ever, but it's about the job creation of 1.7 million jobs, GDP growth for this country of $450 billion. And so the impact is tremendous across the board.
And like you said, this is a great initiative. Yes, great start. And once again, thank you for what you're doing. And we're trying to cover up or do something better than what we've done in the past. We all make mistakes, and we understand that, and we appreciate what you're doing here. But you got high-level black executives on your advisory committee. I also hear that you have Issa Rae, the actress on your advisory committee. The importance of actually having black people, especially executives, having a seat at the table. Because this is the beginning to talk about the future needs, not just of black women, but maybe black people or brown people in general.
Mike, you're spot on when you talk about not just for today, but we're looking to create intergenerational wealth in black communities, something that we haven't seen before. And so you're right, this advisory council really shows a key pillar of the initiative, namely, it is black-led, right? It is by black women, for black women, with black women. Because for too long, people have been telling us what we need to do. We know what needs to be done, and we need not just a seat at the table, we need to be at the head of the table, directing where that funding's going. And it's with that fundamental posture of Goldman Sachs being humble. We've got to learn. We've got a lot to do better. But you've got black women internally at Goldman Sachs, a powerhouse group of sisters, I have to tell you, and working with black women on our advisory council. We're going to be doing listening tours across this country where we're pulling together black women leaders, and we want to hear from them because we know that very often those closest to the problem are really the ones that are closest to the solution. And we want to hear that, and it's from there and that foundation of black center that we're going to build this out. So it is truly differentiated.
Wow, just the way you speak to this issue and this initiative, it does give great hope to it. The pandemic, because you've called it the COVID-19 pandemic, a pandemic within a pandemic. And, you know, our communities are hit the hardest by this pandemic, and that includes the money and access to this capital, yes?
Yes, indeed. I mean, black women have been hailed, you know, for being essential workers. You know, she's helping you at the grocery store checkout, but she's not being paid what she needs to be paid. She doesn't get sick days off. She doesn't have a 401k plan to be able to develop retirement needs and to be able to pass something on to her children. So if she's so essential, let's take care of her. And we've seen, exactly as you described, over the course of the pandemic, not only us black people more likely to die as a result of COVID-19, but really as a result to lose our jobs and to really, you know, fall off track as it relates to being able to take care of our families. And so the pandemic has only exacerbated the need for Goldman Sachs to do what it's doing with 1 million black women.
And before we go, we got about 30 seconds, but I got to ask you this because I know there are a lot of black women out there asking, hey, am I eligible and how can I get some of this money? So really quick, how can that happen?
So I'm glad that they're asking because if you go to goldmansachs.com and you don't have to search anywhere, it is on the front page of the website is 1 million black women. You go right there, you give us your information, and you can be a part of this to receive information, learn more about it, and potentially be a part of it. So it is easy right there on the front page of the site.
All right, goldmansachs.com. Pretty sure a lot of people are rushing to that website right now. Asahi, thank you so much for what you are doing.
Don't crash your website.
Yes, it's going to crash. Yeah. Sharon's going to be right there, too. As soon as we go to break, Sharon.
Now.
We're going to get some more of that money. Continue the great work, and we appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much, Asahi. Thanks for being part of BNC.
Yeah, great.
We'll be right back.